I've been doing therapy for over 30 years, and I absolutely love brain spotting because it's much more effective. And I wanted to share this with you. I wanted to explain a little bit about what brain spotting is, the history of it, how the brain works, brain spotting affects the brain, and the setups so that you know what to expect in a brain spotting session. So that way you can give it a try. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I do this all right. Let's see here. Stop sharing. I don't want that. Yep, here I am. This is brain spotting. Where you look affects how you feel. Boom, go to the next slide. So brain spotting's been out for 20 years. David Grant, who is a brain spotting founder, he found brain spotting when he was doing EMDR with an Olympic brown ice skater. So when he was doing EMDR with her, he noticed that her eyes kind of froze and wobbled at one particular point in the visual field, and he stopped, followed his intuition, and went with it. And this is sort of what he saw. He saw her eyes have this kind of reaction. And for me, as a brain spotting therapist, I usually see people stop breathing, their facial expressions change, they flinch, that they look calm. I see a lot of different things when I brain spot with my clients, but that's what he saw. And in spite of her, this ice skater, doing sessions weekly for so many years, she tapped into these new memories of maternal abandonment, the divorce that her parents were going through, and multiple injuries on the eyes. So this all just flowed from her. And the next day, she gave David a call and she said, oh my God, I can do my triple axis without a problem. And she hadn't had the problem since. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So when we think about therapy, when we see therapy shows on TV, we see people sitting in chairs and just talking. And talk therapy is great for a lot of things, but it basically only works the prefrontal cortex. And sometimes when we've had past issues and we're triggered, it's usually trauma or developmental trauma. And it's here in the limbic brain and the brainstem. So brain spotting works all parts of the brain, and that's pretty darn important. If we look at trauma, whether it's developmental trauma, big T trauma, or little t trauma, trauma is held like scar tissue in the brain. And when we have too much trauma, our nervous systems are affected. We're either stuck on with a lot of anxiety, panic, we can't sleep, maybe we're more irritable, or we shut down. We're more depressed. We're doing checking out behaviors. We can't really do things. We're on social media, Netflixing. And our goal is to be in the present moment, in that present range. So if you look at how the brain's designed, we're basically designed to notice and perceive a threat very quickly and react in a way to save our life. And what brain spotting does is it remodels those threat memories, so actually cleaning out your trauma capsules, and it down regulates your amygdala. The brain spot is an eye position that correlates with past trauma, past memories, specific memories. And this is probably more information than you ever wanted to know, but I'm going there because it explains why brain spotting is different and why it's so effective. So there's a part of the brain that nobody ever talks about, and that's the superior colliculus. It's the color of my shirt. It's like the size of a pea. And the reason why this is so important is A, it's a first responder to stress, but B, this is why it's important. So brain spotting and EMDR use eye positions because this little pea, periwinkle pea, has 4 layers that have to do with vision. Most of what your brain takes in is vision. 85% of your limbic system is prioritized to seeing threats and responding to threats. So that's why people use eyes and eye positions and eye movements. Both EMDR and Brainspotting are using bilateral music, the auditory component, which is the fifth layer. Brainspotting is having people focus in on where they feel the sensations in their body, which is increasing mindfulness, helping them process the trauma in the present moment. And it's part of that area of the brain. And sometimes we bring in from EMDR tactile or movement to integrate all 7 layers of the superior colliculus. Brainspotting, I think it's a way to train your nervous system. So instead of being fight, flight, freeze, what you're doing is you're building your window of tolerance as if it was a muscle, right? So the more we go in and train that nervous system and be in the present moment and be mindful and clear up the trauma, the bigger that window of tolerance gets. And that's pretty cool because we're talking a decreased response to stress. EMDR, we just use for trauma. It's a great modality. Brainspotting is more flexible. We can use it for trauma, past negative beliefs, emotions. We can use it for procrastination, being stuck, behavior change, reducing cravings and addictions, stress management, tapping into creative problem solving, new ideas, and peak performance. That's why David Gren was working with the ice skater. He works with a lot of athletes, people on stage. We can use it for social anxiety. We can use it for hobbies. I use it a lot with students for test anxieties and peak test performance. So it can be used for a lot of different things. How we do it. So if we're doing an outside window, you don't need to do any of this. I watch you and I ask you where you feel things. But if we're doing a more internal process, I'm going to ask you to cue up what you want to work on, one specific thing. And I'm going to ask you where you feel it in your body. Do you feel it in your heart, your shoulders, maybe in your solar plexus? But I'm going to have you cue in on that. And the reason being is I want to access the trauma in the brain, and the feeling the physical body will have you access that. And secondly, I want to train your nervous system to be more mindful, aware of your body sensations so that you can intervene and have your nervous system be online. We rate things on a scale from 0 to 10, or like, I feel it a lot, I feel it medium, I feel it low, to judge, because you're kind of like a person with a magnifying glass and you're experiencing this. And we, as the Brainspotting therapists, are holding the space for you. So you can talk as much as you'd like to, but sometimes we're a little quiet, or we're there to guide your experience. So we use a number scale to help us guide your experience and to communicate clearly as to what's going on with you. So when you're Brainspotting, all you need to do is cue up the issue in your mind, pay attention to how this issue affects your body, and just be open, curious, mindful, and watch the internal processing. It's kind of like we just open the cap of the trauma capsule and we just watch it flow and pay attention to it. So all you need to do is be mindful, pay attention to your physical sensations, your feelings, your thoughts, your images, memories, and be in the present moment. After you brain spot, it will take 48 hours for your brain to repair, reconsolidate those memories, and lay down new neural nets. So it's kind of like we just did a workout for our brain. And when we work out at the gym, our muscles repair when we sleep at night. Same thing with brain spotting. And when you get that extra hour of sleep, when you take a walk in nature, when you just give yourself a little space to rest, it gives your brain the opportunity to repair. And what I noticed with my clients is that whatever specific issue they brain spotted on, they noticed that they were less triggered and they're able to respond, being very mindful, calm in the present moment. And that's just after one session. Pretty amazing. If I look at some of the research on brain spotting, some of the research would say it would take 30 to 40 Traditional therapy sessions would equal 1 to 3 brain spotting sessions. Every client, every issue is different. But on this study, they were looking at a group of depressed people. They did 3 different depression measurements, and they took a measurement before the therapy, after the therapy, and 6 months later. What they found is the post-test is lower, so that's a good thing for brain spotting than it was for CBT. That more amazing, 6 months afterwards, it was even lower. So that implies that it sticks longer. And that's amazing if you're going to spend your time and money in therapy. Like, it would be really a bummer if you remodeled your house and when the contractor pulled out of your driveway, things broke down. Like, nobody would like that. So I look at therapy like that too. To me, it's really important that it lasts. So I'm going to ask you, like, change is possible. You can change so much about your limited beliefs, your developmental trauma that happened. You might think that you can't change it, but you can change it. We can reprogram your brain and train your nervous system to be in that window of tolerance. And all it takes is the willingness and the openness to think outside the box and try something new.